I've always been someone who has been easily discarded, thrown by the wayside. The shadows of my sadness ride in the low tide like a plastic straw floating along the shore of the ocean, making its way to a life source until I am eaten whole. But little do they know, I am plastic, built to last, so that when I am swallowed by a predator and hit the back of their throat, they will choke on me as I devour them from the inside out, making them scream the Lord's name as they pray that this prey spares them today despite their karma, pulling up a front row seat to watch them reap what they have sown. I am easily discarded, yet forgiving, so I let it go. And just like that, with a simple disagreement, a moment in time, years upon years can go to waste as I am eliminated from the body. I am prey again, released back into the ocean from an asshole who confused submission with loyalty. I float again, on the conditional waves of our collective existence, pushing me back to the place where I started. The journey amounted to nothing. When the water settles, I find myself gathered with others who have also been discarded, improperly placed, and handled with a lack of care. We cry together, but our tears are camouflaged by the open waters washing over our faces as our bodies perpetually spin. We are all plastic objects, desperately in search of a home because the homes we once knew couldn't even appreciate us enough to recycle. What we call home wouldn't even bother to see the beauty in our ever-evolving form, judged by who we are and aren't in one moment in time, easily discarded. Me and my band of junkies unite along the shore as one united front and push west with a vengeance. And although all of us won't make it out into the middle of the open waters where we float freely, some of us will. And though we are forgiving, we will never forget. With every new predator that comes our way, we will show them how much we remember as we annihilate them one by one. One chomp on our bodies at a time, neglectfully destroying the ecosystem of marine life. We don't care, because no one cared enough about us to not have us out here living raggedy in search of a new home. They only cared for themselves in that one moment in time. And now, that one moment in time for them has resulted in the reduction of time for everyone. Discarded.
So yeah, for this track, just I think the art was to keep it simple, but to give a ambience and a feel to it that you can really resonates with you. And it was just, for me, it was not so much just the sounds, it's like where they're placed sonically, especially when you're listening to it in your headphones, which is what a lot of listeners nowadays are doing. Dolby Atmos and other things like that is kind of like where we're going to with the future of sound. And so it was just to kind of create a frequency, and understanding the frequency that's used in this particular song. That's that meditation where our brain is stimulated, where it gives us a lot of reflection and a lot of peace, and so that was kind of like the core of it. And after that, of course, is building out the water, making sure that's placed somewhere where it's soothing to you sonically, it's soothing to the ear, and all the frequencies just match. And so the violins were kind of the last piece that always gives us that storytelling vibe that lets us reflect. So that was kind of the motivation behind this record, and I think it came off pretty great with this. Easily Discarded was definitely at like my favorite piece at the time when she did it. It was like my number one just because of the story, the whole vibe, the energy. I could see it. Like you say, that underdog stories. I'm a very visual person as well, so I could just see that being something that resonates with all of us, because at some point of all of our lives, someone tries to easily discard who we are or what we're capable of.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, how did that piece connect to folks in the room? Like I didn't. This was a piece. Honestly, this was a piece that was really vulnerable. I feel like I have a lot of confidence, and people see me in a very particular way. And I went back and forth on whether I would include this track. And it was actually one of the last tracks that I decided to include because it was so very vulnerable. Even publishing it in the book was very vulnerable for me. Because if you know my life, or don't know my life, but observe my life from a distance, you you don't think that that's would be how I feel inside about things. But I also am a giver, and so I often feel like my giving and how I show up in the world gets taken advantage of or taken for granted in that way. And I think the combination of all of those things leave me feeling sometimes like I'm misunderstood, and in that misunderstanding, people can discard. But I'm just curious as to like how whether that other folks in the room that relates to them or resonates with them in any particular way.
I thought it was very, very, very vulnerable to know Glenance as a person. As much as I've gotten in these years, I was very surprised to hear this because this is a lot. Like, I don't know if everybody in the room really realizes this is really deep. It is very transparent. You are a big giver. Giver is not even a grand enough word. Because of the person that you are, resilience and all, you give so much and you show up and you show up and you can be easily discarded. The nice people almost always are. So as you go through life, pulling every fiber of your soul out to show up for your friends and your family, oftentimes people may not give you the same energy, right? But still, even though you're easily discarded, I heard fight. This is something that I was trying to pinpoint what I mean, it was overwhelming for me to hear this. I just feel like there's a lot in there, and you are resilient, and I heard a lot of fight. It was also almost like a cycle of life, of learning, of trying to be there and show up and not necessarily demand that, but pull that from others around you. It was very, very, very overwhelming, and I definitely am surprised because it just shows a lot about you inside and out. And I don't know, like, I was almost about to be in tears. I'm like, oh my gosh. Does everybody else hear this? What is going on? I loved it. It was wonderful and a very transparent piece. Dr.
I appreciate you because